watching this on Spotify, my sincere apologies. But there is a reason why I am sat here in my bed with a face pack on in a dressing gown for the intros and outros. In this crucial conversation with Rach Idowu of Adulting ADHD, within the topic of burnout, we explore trying to do too much, pushing through to meet unreasonable standards and expectations, and how it can be a struggle to realise when we're doing exactly that until the repercussions become disastrous. So, yesterday, this podcast turned 4. I can't believe it. 4 whole years since the first episode of ADHD AF was released. To celebrate, I joined Lou in Luland on her Unshrunk tour to St Anne's Wells Spring Festival in Brighton to talk about ADHD AF Plus charity in front of her amazing bus. It was so incredible to be there reflecting on all that has come from this podcast. The online community of listeners, the tours, and the charity, all of the above inspired me to found. ADHD AF Plus charity is hosting 13 free in-person ADHD peer support groups this month. I literally cannot believe it. We only started with one last March. This coming Tuesday, the 5th of May, 2026, we've got groups in Birmingham, Ayr in Scotland, and our first one in Swindon. On Wednesday the 6th, we've got Runcorn and the return of our Cambridge group. Thursday the 7th, we've got London, Bristol, Chester, and our first Hemel Hempstead group. 4 groups in one night, spread out all over the place. And the following week, on Wednesday the 13th, we've got Manchester and Oxford, and Thursday the 14th, Edinburgh and Blackpool. Now, you can find out details about all of the above and get email reminders, apply to start your own, volunteer, donate, please, via link in show notes. Now, all of these groups are absolutely free. You don't need to RSVP, and you most certainly do not need an ADHD diagnosis to attend, as we know how hard they are to come by and the danger of the lack of ADHD support available right now. You just need to be 18 years old. You can just show up exactly as you are, stay as long as you like, move around, knit, draw, whatever. They are led by ADHD women. They are informed through the lens of ADHD adults of marginalised genders and are predominantly attended by ADHD women. But contrary to all of the stereotypes that have led to the creation of this podcast, ADHD does not gender discriminate, so neither do we. If you are a cis man and you are in need of support, you can attend, provided you are respectful of all attendees and are understanding of our charitable aims. But being honest, perhaps there may be a more suitable group for your needs than ours in your local area, which might be better for you to attend. But as I said, in the face of that danger of having no support, we would not turn anyone over 18 in need of support away from one of our groups. Now, all of May's groups are focused on the topic of this episode, ADHD, burnout, meltdowns, and shutdowns. And I wanted to get this episode out today in the hope that somebody who would benefit from attending the groups would hear it in time. But it dawned on me the irony of making myself presentable to record the intro and outro. Because after such a brilliant but very busy day yesterday, I'm really tired. It rained on the way home, not just rained, it literally poured on the way home. The streets of Brighton were like rivers flowing. So we got saturated. And my naturally curly hair, I scraped it up in this bun yesterday evening. It is now one matted mess, and washing and blowing it out and putting some slap on to make the start and end of this conversation consistent with the actual episode was going to take me spoons that I just don't have today. Whilst I was trying to drag myself up out of bed and get myself ready, it dawned on me the absolute ridiculous irony that I'm producing an episode in which we talk about not putting pressure on ourselves to meet unreasonable standards due to a fear of not living up to expectations. And of course, we also touch on perfectionism. So, in the name of raising awareness and living in congruence with my words, which is always the aim, I'm showing up imperfectly. And okay, washing my hair and getting dressed, arguably, that's self-care, which might fill my cup. This is what self-care looks like today. I'm practicing what I preach. This is imperfect action. Whilst editing this episode just now, it was clear that we both helped each other through this chinwag. Lived experience conversations enable us to not only understand different perspectives, perhaps try different approaches, but also helps us to take a step back and notice where we may be tripping ourselves up. That is literally what peer support is about. Leaning on and learning from each other. Rach has supported this podcast and its live events since day dot, and I cannot believe how far we've come in 4 years. 2 million-ish downloads, listeners in every country in the world. I literally have no words to convey the gratitude I have to you for listening to my ridiculous rambles. To the volunteers, not just of the charity, but those that run the online podcast listeners peer support community, which is now 3.5 years old and still supporting each other online every single day. With the morning body doubling, Kim's self-care club, Tarot Tuesday with Rachel, Kristin's power half hour down under, accountability squad with Jill, declutter club with Eve, the techno tit helpline with Geeky Roo, movement with Mickey, Kirsty's hormonal hyperfocus, the quiz nights, and of course all of the moderators of the Discord server. Admittedly, I'm not actually on Discord and I cannot be at all of these Zooms, but I do pop in and you will always find me at a quiz. And the want to connect with this community in real life led to creating live events that don't adhere to standards, doing things differently. And watching the empowerment of bringing together like-minded locals in real life at those 3 tours, which included, I think, 33 dates, is what inspired me to found ADHD AF Plus charity, which has not only connected ADHD community, it has empowered listeners of this podcast to become leaders, volunteering to facilitate peer support in their local communities, in order to help transform and in some cases save lives just as theirs have been through the podcast online community. If you are new to the Left Print Army or found ADHD AF too late to attend one of the live tours, don't you worry, because with ADHD AF Plus charity, we're going to be hosting our first live events very soon. I am so excited to share the details of that next Sunday. So keep your eyes and ears peeled on the 10th of May. If you'd like to be the first to hear about it, you can sign up via link in show notes, where you can also sign up to the listeners community and find out full details of the charity's May peer support groups. I couldn't be more grateful and excited to share that you can also find a link to vote for us in the National Diversity Awards 2026. ADHDF Plus Charity has been nominated for 2 awards, and I have also been nominated for 2 awards. And getting shortlisted for any of these nominations would be such an enormous benefit to ADHDAF Plus charity, as that spotlight would open doors which would enable us to expand and help so many more people in desperate need of support. But time on this is actually running out now. There's only a few more days left to get your votes in, so I'm asking you, on our 4th birthday, please will you click the link, vote in any or all of those categories, and share how this podcast, the online community, the charity, a live event or support group has helped you whilst there's still time. So yeah, as it's our birthday, please will you help get us on the shortlist? We've all worked so hard and our work has helped so many. If you're one of the people that has been helped, please help us to help more like us by voting at adhdasfemales.com/awards. But as I said, the link is in the show notes. So this episode is a celebration of 4 years of imperfect action and all of the good that just doing what you can with the spoons you have and in your own way with the support of your peers can do. So here I am, looking like this, in my bed, practicing what I preach and showing up imperfectly, because done is better than perfect. Hi, I'm Laura and I am ADHD AF. Though blatantly obvious, the late discovery, diagnosis and treatment at 38 for severe combined type ADHD in 2022 not only improved but genuinely saved my life, which I have since dedicated to fighting for change amidst the global ADHD crisis. As the acronym suggests, I swear like a sailor, and each episode will contain sensitive subject matter, so please always read the description before diving in, where you will also find a link to resources for support. These crucial conversations with experts by lived experience are shared to inform, validate, shame eradicate, and unite the ADHD community, with a fair few laughs along the way. I've been labelled too much all my life, but finally I celebrate my too muchness and use my justice sensitivity to let the world know that ADHD presents differently in each individual. Self-diagnosis is valid and that ADHD is not a trend. ADHD is real. And I want all ADHDers of all genders to know you are not alone. The leopard is a symbol of Aberdeen, Scotland, where this podcast began. It also symbolises bravery, the reclaiming of power, and I'm a total hun. So leopard print has become the uniform of the ADHD AF community, uniting to support each other and push for change, which together we can make happen. We are the leopard print army. Hear us roar. I'm so excited that you're back on.
Likewise. I know. Is this my third time around or something? I think so.
It is. I can't get enough of you. You were first on in September 2023.
No way.
And then December of the same year, when obviously you closed the Christmas show live in London.
It's crazy how time flies and how long we've actually known each other. It's been so many years.
I know. I realised that in a couple of days' time, 2nd of May, the podcast is actually 4 years old. 4.
Wow. Massive congrats.
Thank you.
You've come a long way.
I know. As if it's like this is episode 174. How have I done this 174 times.
Whew, round of applause for you.
So if you haven't heard Rach's previous episodes, I'm going to put link in show notes so you can go back and listen to those. And so if you haven't, I'm going to do some quick fire questions to introduce you, but I know we've done this before, so I have changed them slightly.
I don't even remember, so go for it.
Right. Can you tell me your name, please?
My name is Rach Idowu, also known as Adulting ADHD.
Yes, your pronouns.
She, her.
Star sign?
What am I? End of January, Aquarius.
Oh, I love an Aquarius, yes. Your location?
North London. I support Arsenal. London is red.
Just to make that clear.
I had to throw it in there.
Occupation, a multi-hyphenate like the best of them. Tell me all the things you do, Rach.
I have had, I think, around 4 or 5 career changes, but I've mainly worked in the public sector most of my life. So that's central government. Now I'm working in utilities, working more in policy and strategy operations. That's more my bag, mainly policy. But alongside that, I've been doing a lot of ADHD advocacy work, as you know, public speaking to companies about how to make the workplace more inclusive. I'm a writer. I've got my Substack, writing an ebook. I do improv as just classes. I performed. What else? Just so many things. I love gaming. So yes, I think that ticks the box for multi-hyphenate.
Hang on. We'll come back to the book. I'm like, I want to ask you all the things. No, we're going to stick with the quickfire. We'll come back to it. Okay. Are you usually an early person or a late person?
Early person. I'm like the person, if you want to go on a holiday with me, get separate rooms if you're not a morning person. I'm like ready to seize the day from like 6 a.m.
Your current hyperfixation song, is there one particular song that you have got on repeat right now?
This is going to be so cliche, but I literally only started hyperfixating on it 2 weeks ago. You know, Olivia Dean, is it Man I Need? I just keep hearing it and I was like, all right, I'm going to put it on play. And now I can see why people keep playing it over and over again.
Yeah. Oh, what a tune. I absolutely love it. I've been listening to Confessions on a Dance Floor, as in 20 years ago, Madonna album, because she was there with Sabrina on stage and it was like, oh my God. And she's got another one coming out. I'm so excited about it. Right. Coffee or matcha?
Coffee all the way. I've only had matcha once.
And did you think it tasted like grass?
Do you know what? It was a hot matcha and it just tasted nice and creamy, but I haven't had a cold matcha.
I had one the other day. It was like a cold one that was meant to be Dubai chocolate flavour, and it literally just tasted like, oh great, now it's grass with sugar on top. Nice. Can't get behind it. What is your most hated chore?
Oh, washing dishes. Oh my gosh. It's like the texture, the water, if the food hasn't been rinsed out. When I do the dishes, I'm old fashioned, I have gloves.
Do you know what? I hate cleaning the bathroom, but just because it's an absolute ball ache. So if you were, and you might be neither, but would you say you are more prone to nostalgia or thinking about the future? Like, are you more progressive looking forward, or do you tend to look back?
I think a bit of both. Okay, if I was going to choose one, nostalgia.
I agree. I feel like there's a safety in it, isn't there? Because it's like you're constantly moving forward. And it's like you can sit back and go, oh, but back then, you know?
Yeah, and it's like comforting in times of like down times when you just want some happy memories, you can access it. So you can just take yourself back to times when things were better. So yeah, nostalgia all the way.
As ever, there is the other side of that coin when you're replaying or ruminating on old shit.
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, that's a whole nother ball game.
It truly is. Hang on, where am I up to with my nonsense questions? Do you track your cycle?
No, it's so bad. Honestly.
Oh God, I'm terrible. I always mean to, because I know how much it impacts everything. Like my meds don't work properly and I'm in tears all the time and I'm furious. But yeah, I still do that thing like, oh yeah, I get periods. Like it's the first time every single month.
Yeah, I've literally got a chapter in my book called ADHD, Women and Hormones, where I talk about PMS, PMDD, PCOS, perimenopause and menopause, and
all the P's.
All the P's, and just knowing like when your meds are ineffective and you just can't seem to get it together and you're trying to figure out what it is, and then your period comes the next day, you're like, oh, okay, that's what it was.
Oh, yeah. That old chestnut. Are you medicated right now?
Yeah, I've been medicated for about over 6 years.
Yeah, I'm on Elvans.
I've been on Medicanet since I first started, but I started on immediate release. That didn't work for me because I would crash. And then spoke to my psychiatrist, went up, and then we decided extended release made sense based on kind of my day-to-day. And that's worked for me ever since then. And I'm on like 40 grams. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good with this. I don't need to go no more up and no more down. So yeah.
Found the sweet spot. So if you're an early riser, as am I, and you've got the kind of slow release, do you crash at any point, or are you up till late? Are you just not a sleeper, or do you go to bed early? Or
it's such a good question. So ever since I was young, I've just found sleeping so boring. I'm like, oh, you sleep when you're dead. That has always been my mentality. And because I was such an stereotypical like hyperactive kid when I was young. I loved being outdoors. I was like a gamer, very bouncing up off the walls, but I was undiagnosed. And so I just always liked to keep active. My brain didn't stop and like my physical self didn't stop. And I've just always been like that, always on the go.
No social media for a year? Or no music for a year?
I can do no social media. I've taken quite a lot of social media breaks, no social media.
Because you're on it. You're so good. I'm literally terrible. Every one of us that was kind of all around the same kind of stage, starting out or in the beginning, like everyone's like passed me by miles. I'm just like, I just can't be asked. I can't do it.
You are right where you need to be. So this is so funny, right? Because when I first started, it was literally Substack and Twitter, which is now X. And it was just, I was documenting my journey. It was nothing about creating content or doing any of this. It was just selfishly having like a personal diary and people to speak with. And then as the years went on, people started taking notice. And then I thought, okay, maybe I should go on Instagram and then TikTok and YouTube and then Threads. And I'm like, it's so many and it's very unsustainable. And I just think it's very unhealthy. So I've cut quite a few different social media sites out of my kind of day to day, because you just need to protect your mind. And I feel like we need to consume less. We're hearing too many people's thoughts. It's just not healthy and it can just run someone crazy.
It's so funny because I didn't have anything to do with LinkedIn. Like, I've literally got a LinkedIn, like, reluctantly the end of last year. And I just feel so silly because I realise now that it's actually really useful. And with the charity, I should be reaching out to people, but I've got like 2 followers and nothing to say. And it's like, no, I do have a platform, just not here. Not here. So I really regret not getting stuck into that. But hey ho, hindsight.
I've got LinkedIn, but it's literally for my corporate job. I will post the occasion things that I do with, let's say I've done something with the University of Cambridge, I had posted that, but I keep it very separate because you will always be trying to like keep up running the race. And I truly believe that the people who need to find you will find you. It does help being visible in different areas, but I've gotten out of the space of feeling like I'm behind, comparing, worrying about not getting onto something so late, but just knowing I'm walking in my purpose and the way that what's meant to be will be. And I just believe the same for you. So whether you kind of get active on LinkedIn today or 5 months down the line, you're still going to be a success because you're genuine and you're great at what you do.
Oh, thank you. I think I'm really glad I can't go. No, but like, I love what you said, being genuine, being in your purpose, because I really struggle with AI. I know this isn't what we're here to talk about, but you're here and I really want to talk to you about it because I totally see the value in the purpose. Totally. Especially makes things more accessible for people. And there is shit that like I ask AI randomly that you wouldn't have got the answer to any other way necessarily. But I found in terms of like creativity within social media, it's really stumped me because one of the things, like I like writing, I used to like creating graphics. They don't do that well on social media anymore anyway. But when you kind of like, it's just loads of AI things talking to each other, it kind of left me in the space of like, where do I fit into this? Like, what am I bringing to the table if all the skills that I bring can just be done like that? Do you know what I mean?
And I think that's where being authentic and personable comes from. You do so many in-person events. Yes, you're visible online. You have this podcast, but I've been to 2 or 3 of your events, seeing like the community of like, especially women who have showed up and fostered community among themselves. I feel like that can't be replicated. And you see it with, not to like talk down on people, but you see it with people who have massive platforms, right? But when it comes to trying to do something in person, the community isn't there because people are just unconsciously scrolling, clicking, and aren't really engaging with things online. Even if it's the most prettiest infographic and graphic, sometimes that doesn't translate in person. And what you really want to do is foster a community that continues to build and evolve and finds themselves amongst each other, rather than just having a large following online with a lot of people liking, but people aren't engaging. You're not really adding value to people's life outside of being there top on their list for like doom scrolling and clicking, because we do live in that era of doom scrolling and just being so distracted and engaged with so many different things.
Gosh, I love it. Can we talk every day? Let's not leave it so long next time.
This is what I talk to myself about for the past year and a half. Trust me, I've been going back and forth.
But I think it is really, really interesting. It's so fascinating that there's kind of this standard and these things that we do, but also, I mean, online, but also I feel like it can knock confidence. There's been a couple of times where I've gone to like do a podcast. I'm like, oh, what should I say? And then I like found myself like writing a kind of script for how to start a podcast. I was like, I have literally, what did I say? 174 episodes. I got this. Do you know what I mean? But it almost makes you doubt yourself. The bloody Google Mail AI thing is telling you how to reword your emails. I'm like, no, I wanted to write that.
Honestly, and even like WhatsApp, you have like this, I think this AI bar, and I'm like, what is this for?
Yes. Online is definitely one of the areas in which I can identify that burnout can really quickly raise its head. You mentioned about like doom scrolling or whatever, and I can almost get caught in like a loop of my brain, that hyperactivity, like my brain is hungry but I'm tired. But you keep thinking, oh, what about this? And what about this? And that's kind of, I think that's what my internal monologue basically says 24 hours a day. What about this? What about this? What about this? And so I'm thinking all these thoughts, doom scrolling. And then you're like, it's been hours and you're really exhausted. And I think that, yeah, the amount of time that I spend online is definitely something that can make me feel a bit burny. Do you agree?
Definitely. And that's why I've had to take steps to not be on every single social site, because even when you're repurposing content from one place to another, it takes a lot of energy. And then you have so many, if your tweet or whatever goes viral, I feel guilty for not engaging with people because people have taken the time out to share their experiences with me, to write with me. And I never wanted to feel like I'm a big account or I'm just too good to kind of engage with people. So then that takes up so much time, and imagine doing that on 4 or 5 or 6 different social platforms. It's just unhealthy.
We've got all the ridiculous burning questions out of the way. It's time to talk about the topic of May's free in-person ADHD AF Plus, which is our charity, our ADHD peer support groups. We've got 13 in May, and all of them are talking about this topic. So ADHD, burnout, meltdowns, and shutdowns are all responses to overwhelming cognitive or emotional load, but they each show up differently. Burnout is a longer term state of exhaustion, reduced motivation, say the words, Laura, and mental fog caused by chronic stress, masking, or overexertion. Whereas a meltdown is an intense outward expression of overwhelm where emotions can spill out in ways that feel hard to control. So like an angry outburst, crying, or panic. And a shutdown is literally the opposite. An inward collapse where people may go quiet, feel numb, disconnected, or unable to respond. And all three reflect a nervous system being pushed beyond its capacity, often triggered by emotional strain or masking or overcompensating or sustained demand without enough recovery. Watching for warning signs such as overcommitting, fatigue that rest won't fix, avoiding usually enjoyable activities and self-care struggles, plus, let's not forget, trying to identify and implement our ideal downtime activities, like your gaming, can help prevent burnout. But burnout recovery requires reducing cognitive load and restoring the nervous system by demand reduction, rest, and activities that fill our cup. So, tell me, Rach, can you identify burnout warning signs? Can you see it coming?
Yes and no. And sometimes even when I see it coming, I still want to keep on pressing on. So I think, I mentioned I have ADHD combined type, right? So I've got the inattentive type, but also the hyperactive impulsive type. And so when it comes to inattentiveness, we're thinking about difficulty sustaining attention, getting easily distracted. That takes a lot of energy, trying so hard to focus, but then also distractions pull you away for so many things, and it can be mentally exhausting. And then when you look at the hyperactive impulsive side, that's me being impatient, having like a sense of urgency, being very impulsive, restless, and then that takes a lot of physical energy and also mental energy. And so I see myself and other people with ADHD were easily susceptible to burnout because of ADHD. Now, when you couple those ADHD symptoms and traits with, let's say, having a very busy day to day, you're working in a corporate environment that's very high pressured, fast paced, and target driven, those type of environments kind of build and kind of like foster burnout. You will automatically burn out when you're working in those type of environments. And so what I do when I feel like I'm getting closer to burnout, I have to say no to many things. So it's in the workplace, can you help me with the task? I'm so sorry. I'm pretty swamped. I can't do it. The old me will say yes to everything because one, I'm overcompensating for my ADHD. Yes, people pleasing. And I'm just very excited, shiny object syndrome, and I want to do it. So it's taken away those added things that make me fall into burnout quite quickly. The other thing I have started to do is stay offline some social media sites because, again, like we were speaking about earlier on, it can be very draining posting, repurposing content, and then trying to engage with so many different people all at once. That is just putting too much pressure and strain on the brain, and as well as having a driven bimotor ADHD brain that constantly wants to go. And sometimes you don't realize the effects of burnout until you ultimately crash. So to answer your question, I realized I went on the tangent.
No, honestly, just keep going. Just keep going. I'm loving
it. Yeah, I was like, where was I? Yeah, see, in true ADHD fashion, I was doing so well. I've even had my fidget in hand. So yes, I can tell when I'm going to burn out sometimes because especially if I'm in an environment that kind of fosters burnout. And then sometimes I don't because I'm doing so much. My brain is doing so much. I want to do so much. And then next thing you know it, I crash and I slump. And then the recovery stage is what takes quite a lot of time to get back to my normal self. The problem is, with me personally, and I'm sure many people with ADHD can relate, it becomes a cycle of burnout. These type of habits, the way we think, our tendency to want to continuously to do things, to say yes, to get involved in every activity, to be on all of the social media websites, especially for someone who has so many hobbies, we have to take a pause, rest, and figure out what can we take out, what can we swap around, or what can we do less of to kind of stop us going through this constant cycle of burnout. And then also the recovery stage takes long. I think when it comes to burnout, people just assume, oh, I'll just rest for a day or two and I'll be fine. No. In the workplace, what I do is I take annual leave. Sometimes I used to take annual leave when I just go on holiday, but now it's like I will take a week off just to rest because it's needed. And I think some of us need to get into the habit of doing that where you can, because ultimately the burnout recovery stage can take anything from a couple of days to a couple of weeks to a couple of months, depending on how much you've ran yourself into the ground. And if you get back on the saddle a day or two after you've had your big crash, you will still continue to feel exhausted and burn out because you just haven't recovered enough.
I think one of the things that you said that was really interesting is you mentioned like one of the ways that you will kind of protect yourself is that you will say no when, you won't take on additional tasks you're in the past you would have done. And I think that's really interesting because what you're highlighting there is the awareness that you have of your behavioral patterns. Often when we're on the road to burnout, our standards is the wrong word, but things start to slip, right? You forget things, you're late, you've lost something. Things start to go tits up. And so then what can happen is we can be overcompensating whilst we're already dipping down. So then when people ask you to do something, you do say yes to everything. Because you're like, I'm not shit, really. I can do things. I can. Yeah, you're overcompensating. So that's all part of the cycle. Obviously, the fact that you do know yourself so well, which has come from, again, not just awareness, but acceptance of how the condition uniquely presents in you, of what your triggers are, etc. It means that you know that you need to take that time to rest. But again, when you were talking about the restlessness that you feel, the hyperactivity in the mind, like restlessness is the perfect word. I know Dr. Alex Connor calls it itchy. His brain's itchy. You got an itchy brain. And I just call it like boredom. I'm just so fucking bored and I'm so angry about it. So I need to keep doing it. And that's how I feel. And it is that restlessness. But again, it's like, you know that you need to rest. So how do you rest if you've got an itchy brain, Rach? How do you do it?
I'm going to come back to this point, but real quickly, the reason why I know myself, yes, it's acceptance, but so many mess ups and so much stress caused by saying yes to so many things that leaves me working up until like 1 a.m. Because if I would have just said no, I wouldn't have been stressed. I wouldn't have been panicked. I wouldn't be racing against a deadline, or I wouldn't have disappointed someone, because the truth is, when you take so much, when you have so much on your plate, ultimately you're going to get out of balance and it's going to fall. And when it falls, there are consequences that come with that fall, right? Something doesn't get delivered, someone is really mad at you, something important doesn't get delivered, and it has an impact on so many other people. And so you have to think about all of the kind of consequences of taking too much and overexerting yourself. And because I've experienced so much mishaps and like fuck ups, I'm like, I try not to go there anymore, because I know how it made me feel and the impact it had on others. Going back to your point, how do I rest? Is it how do I rest?
Yeah. How do you rest if you've got an itchy brain? Because you said you take a week off and you rest. What does that look like? How do you recoup?
Do you know what? It's so hard. I'm not even going to lie. And so, yeah, I take a week off. I go for a walk. I stroll.
She's meditating day and night.
Honestly, it's so hard because I feel like I always have to be doing something. And it's something that I've been trying to deal with, because I think I've been tying my self-worth to like my productivity. My self-esteem is also tied to my productivity and how I'm delivering and how I'm showing up. And so when I'm resting and I'm sitting there, sometimes I'm like, I am wasting my God-given time. What am I doing with myself? Even though I need it. Some of the ways in which I rest is, one, I find a good series to binge, especially when I take time off, because you're sat in bed doing nothing, eating. And I honestly think there should be no shame in like chilling in bed, watching a movie or watching a show, because you need it. And it's usually something light watches, comedy that makes me laugh, that releases all of that serotonin, oxytocin, all of those happy hormones. So that's one thing. Another thing is a beautiful day, going to the park or just walking aimlessly and listening to like a podcast. I pray a lot. I hang out with my friends and I game. So I just aimlessly game. So those are okay, even though it sounds like I'm doing things, but that's what rest looks like to me.
Yeah, it's what fills your cup uniquely. Yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, the biggest thing, I am a big fan of solo cinema dates. I go to like this really nice Odeon Lux. They have recliner chairs and they deliver the food to you. You can order an app anytime in the movie. And it is pricey, but I'm just like, sometimes you just have to spend a bit for like self-care. And I just sit there, watch my 2 to 3 hour movie. And I just feel like, wow, all is well in the world. Like, this is great.
Do you know what? I really, really love that. Like, going to the cinema is it is a treat. Like, even if you're not going to Lux, it's not a cheap thing to do, but it's like you are completely engulfed in that space. Like, I don't get my phone out at the cinema. I'd be too worried that I'd upset people, so I would never get my phone out in the cinema. So I am in it. Yeah. I think one of the things that I often not stumble upon, but like, well, yeah, I mean, I stumble all the time, literally. But one of the things that trips me up with burnout, I personally think, is that so much of it is overlapping. What we're talking about in that road to burnout, where things are getting more intense, where you are messing up, where you are whatever, like, that's what ADHD looks like anyway, to me. Yeah. So then you're like, well, how do you know if you read it like a list of a tick box, like, are you forgetting things? Are you finding it really extra hard to motivate yourself? Yes, every second of every damn day. And so then you're like, well, what's the difference? But it is that more intensified. For me, it tends to be the emotional side. Is when I can see I'm burnt out, is it's not so much reactive, but it's tears. I'm wounded by things that are not really that big of a deal.
Yes, I'm so irritated. And then when you add that with PMS and PMDD, oh my gosh, it's like explosions.
Yeah, exactly that. Are you prone to a meltdown? Do you have the odd mentee bee? Like, what does a meltdown look like for you?
Do you know what? It's so funny because, I mean, it's not funny, but growing up, I had really bad anxiety. And so I grew up in the 90s. And back then it wasn't called that. You were called like a warrior or worrywuss. And so my mum took me to my GP when I was about, I think, 7 or 8, because I used to have panic attacks over the littlest things. If I missed the bus or if I broke a glass, I will like break down. Yeah, it's the end of the world. And like, I'm in public, falling to my knees, heaving, crying, school uniform drenched, snot everywhere. And so I have done and learned a lot throughout the years how to regulate my emotions better. One, because I had to see I got referred to a school counselor for a lot of what I believe is undiagnosed ADHD. It was just so weird because they were like, yeah, we'll help you with your anxiety, but also being restless, calling out, being disruptive. The signs were there. I don't have like massive meltdowns now because I went through that stage a lot in my teens and I've learned like little techniques over the years. I still panic, but I have little things I do to kind of control it. So one thing the counselor taught me back then was like pinching your fingers in between your thumbs and holding it for like 20 seconds, just getting up and moving about so I don't like sit with it. And then, or just self-talk, like it's going to be okay, it's not that big of a deal, it's okay. Or have like friends and like sisters on speed dial who I know will calm me down because they know this side of me.
I love that thumb trick. I'm just doing it now. So I suppose it's about presence, isn't it? It's about mindfulness and coming back into what's real, what you can feel, what you can see, all of that.
How about you?
Well, I don't know if you came to the first tour. On the first tour, so God, whenever that was, 2023, I told this story about when I had the biggest meltdown in the street. And it's actually really funny in hindsight, though it was not funny at the time. But I basically, my friend had passed away. It was really sad. And I was going to his funeral and I had to buy a dress for this funeral, right? And I was in London. It was COVID. I had a bloody COVID mask on my face. It's all really stressful. We've been locked in our houses, right? And suddenly I'm in London. I'd been in Northeast Scotland. I lived in Northeast Scotland at the time. Anyway, so I go through, I'm at Oxford Circus and I come out to go to Topshop, the Topshop. I come up the stairs, I get to the top of the stairs, completely forgetting that the big Topshop no longer exists. And I literally, and it's exactly like I said, I actually fell to my knees in the street. I fell to my knees in the street. I screamed, not a little bit, screamed at the top of my lungs. I don't want to live in a world where he is dead and there's no fucking Topshop. And just howled crying. I mean, I still feel that way about Topshop, but no, in all seriousness, it was real. Like, it was the end of the world. I mean, the heaving. And the only good thing about it is if I have a proper meltdown and I proper scream and cry like a baby and I start to heave, is that it makes my husband laugh. And he's really sympathetic, but I'll go like, and he's like, oh, you're doing the thing. And then it actually makes me laugh and pulls me out of it. It is really quite a lot. But I don't have them that often. I don't think. I mean, I don't know how you quantify, and I am time blind. When was the last time do you think you had one?
I can't remember the last time I had a big one, but I have like moments of like panic. And that's when I rage text my younger sister, my mum, or my friend when I'm panicking and they message, don't panic, or they'll give me a call. They'll be like, oh, it's okay. Do this. If I'm lost, go around this way or wait, ask someone. The obvious things, but you don't think about when you're in that panicked state. But I can't remember. I'm sure after this call I'll remember, but I can't remember.
It's funny because I don't know that I do that. I should do that more.
I do that a lot. They're used to it. It's been like decades of me doing that.
What about shutdowns? There is a bit of a common misconception, though shutdowns are more often discussed in relation to autism. Shutdowns are a common experience for many ADHDers. In both cases, a shutdown is the brain's emergency brake, a survival response to being completely overwhelmed. Our brains essentially crash to protect us from further stress. So it's like freeze mode is activated. And this can look a lot like extreme task paralysis. It's the cognitive overload that can cause us to go mute or lose the ability to speak temporarily. So in short, a meltdown is an explosion and a shutdown is like an implosion where you just turn inward. Do you have shutdowns? Is that a thing for you?
I would say very, very often. And I think that's ever since I was young. Yeah, because so I'm anemic on top of I get migraine. So I've been medicated on and off for migraine since I was 16. So that's like over a decade. And then to add ADHD on top. So sometimes I struggle with a lot of sensory overloads that triggers my migraines and I'm struggling with fatigue and I just do not have like the spoons or like the energy. And it's usually triggered by like long journeys. So if I'm commuting a couple of hours to go to work or to go somewhere and I haven't eaten or there is lots of engagement and activity. So much, yeah, I'm like overstimulated. And then it's just like you could be speaking to me and I'm looking at you and I might be speaking, but I really don't know what I'm saying. And I can't really hear what the person is saying as much, but I'm like completely like blank face. And then I need to come home, close the curtains, shut, turn everything off, and then until like I'm ready to speak again. Usually it's I go straight to sleep where I can. But in person, when it happens when I'm out and about, I've got earphones. So I have like earphones and I just put them in and I'm not listening to anything. It's just there to block out the noise. Yeah.
I'm more of a meltdown than a shutdown person, but I do remember the first time the first time I remember having one was I was working at, I think it's the first festival I traded at. It was Secret Garden Party. God knows what year. It was like 2010 or something. And I'd made all this stuff. So I had like hats, sunglasses, all of this stuff, but I'd never traded at anything before. And I've got dyscalculia. So I just had no idea what I should be charging. I know there's a way to work it out, like hours plus materials plus, but I hadn't got there. So woke up on the morning of going to this festival, had been really excited, worked my bollocks off, literally burnt myself out making all this stuff, woke up so panicked that I didn't know what I would be charging, that I just shut down. My friend was staying to drive me there. I literally went mute. I could not speak. And it felt like I was like trapped inside myself. It was a panic attack, but it was inside.
That's how it feels. Like you're a mannequin, but you're still moving, but like everything is just like stagnant.
With burnout can be so extremely serious. People can be hospitalized from burnout. And so I think definitely in the early days when, I literally started doing this podcast, I knew nothing. Just literally that I'd just been diagnosed. That was it. I only saw burnout in these really extreme terms. I saw it as like this absolute danger zone where you completely collapse and that's, you burnt out and potentially damaged forever. I really feel now that, for me anyway, burnout is kind of always lingering in the wings. It's like this thing that's just there that's never really going to go away. So it's really important, she says, to try and be responsible, to keep that flame at bay, to keep it away. How about you?
I feel like sometimes the environment you're in causes you to burn out. So going back to the workplace example, I've worked in places where it's long hours, it's very busy, there is so much going on. Of course you are going to burn out. There's no doubt about it. You could take a month of annual leave. If you're going back into the rat race, you're going to burn out. And so decisions I've had to take was, I think, 2-3 years ago, I quit my job, had nothing lined up, and I took 6 months off. It helped because I had savings and I was living at home, but I was so burnt out that no amount of annual leave would be able to kind of free me and like take the pressure off. So I left and I went to a different workplace. I know that's not the same situation for everyone. Everyone can't do it. But that environment was causing and adding a lot to like the reason I burn out. And I was burning out quickly. I would take a break, come back, burn out again daily. And that just was not healthy or sustainable for like my mental health and then also physical health, because it really has an effect on like your body and like your eating habits and everything like that. And so now being in a totally different environment that's not fast paced, yes, I still burn out because, again, driven by a motor ADHD brain, I need to constantly be stimulated. And I just find life and everything exciting. I have so many group chats, so many friends, lots of different hobbies. And so I say, what can I do to reduce the frequency of burnout or the kind of impact of burnout, if that makes sense? And that's disengaging sometimes, taking things off my plate, self-care, so treating myself, like what can I do in between them to kind of reduce the impact and then the length that I burn out.
But when you are burnt out, when you know that it's time, when you've had to take that time off, what has it looked like? Is it that you literally can't get out of bed? Or has it looked like the cards have fallen around you? Or
I think The problem is, right, because especially when you're someone who has ever experienced low moods and depression, you don't ever want to go back to the downside because it's so easy to fall into it. So even when I am super burnout and I just cannot, I at least push myself to take a shower, get out of bed, brush my hair, open the window so there's fresh air.
Story, Rach.
No, this is me because I've been to the dark side and I've hit rock bottom so many times, and times when I didn't even think that I'd be able to come out of it truly. And so I at least make sure that there is still a glimmer of light, even when I'm just laid up in bed for hours watching a movie, watching a series. Maybe I'm scrolling YouTube. I'll say a prayer, maybe read the Bible, whatever, but I am just doing nothing. I'm resting, I'm relaxing. And then sometimes during that, I get bored. So I'm thinking I need to do something. And then my doing something isn't going and like creating a YouTube series or producing. It's maybe gaming because I am doing something, but I'm enjoying it. And I'm just free, roaming, open world.
And it's not that outpouring. Yeah. And perception as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the truth is, rest is going to look different to someone else because people might have kids. Or sometimes, if you're someone who is constantly on the go, it's very hard to do nothing. And so I never really just do nothing. Again, my body doesn't allow me to sleep past 6, 7 hours most times. And I like to keep my brain active or doing something so I don't sink into like depression, loneliness, and isolate because it can be very easy to isolate. And I'm lucky I do have friends who check up on me, or I would just message my friend, look, I'm burnout, I've taken a week off work, just to let you know. And they know that that's a key for them to check in to see if I need anything so I don't isolate myself.
Exactly. And go to that dark side.
How about you?
I don't know, like, I really don't. I do not know. It's such a funny one with me. This whole last coming up for 4 years has been at times a scrabble. When Dawn stepped down, I was like, I'm done for. Everything I've worked for, no one's going to give a shit. I can't do this on my own. This is good. All of that was a scrabble. And more podcasts came out and everything. I was like, shit, I can't keep up. I can't cope. And I'm sad and all the rest of it. And I think I've only just now, with the charity, with the groups running, got a great team, board of trustees, all of that stuff. I'm only just now accepting that I'm not going anywhere. No one's going to leave me in the dust. I know what I'm doing. It doesn't matter if I haven't got as many followers. I'm staying here. I'm doing my work. I'm doing what works. As you said, living in your purpose. So the burnout that I can identify is very retrospective. I'll look back at periods, I'll look back at episodes or conversations that I've had and been like, fuck, I wasn't even in the room then. How did we get by? Because I can bet I was not there. I was not all right. I think in the present moment, I think I know not to take the piss. Basically, that's the best way I could put it. Like, I was putting out episodes left and right all the time. Sometimes now I only put out 2 a month. And I put them out on whatever day I want. I'll put it out. And I just won't do what I was doing, which was this time, this day, week in, week out, and a bonus, and a live. And no, I'm just not doing it. I can do the work in a way. And I'm sure anyone on my team would be laughing right now, like, Laura, there's no time for you to do any of those things. But actually, I'm not pushing it as hard as I was. I'm understanding the things that take too many spoons. And just making sure I get my job done without, literally staying up till 4, 5 a.m., which I would do very regularly, which is rank and disgusting. I feel sorry for that girl, but I'm not her anymore, thank God.
Yeah, I love that. And that's really good. Yeah, because I forgot to add, even so, I've been writing on Substack for over 6 years, right? And when I first started writing, I had 0 subscribers, but I was pumping things out like mad. But that's because I was learning so much about ADHD and I was going. And then it takes a toll on you when people's expectations start to rise. And I was like, this was just me writing. I did not expect any of you to come. And then I got into the habit of, okay, I need to produce because people like want it. So it's just like, okay, what should I share? Expectations. And then I'm comparing myself. When I started on Substack, there was only one other page talking about ADHD and they weren't active. So even back then, Substack had done a profile of me. This is how back early in the days, and then it's it's gone crazy now and it's taken up, which is I'm so happy for the platform. So then comparison really is the thief of joy. So then I said, you know what, I'm not thinking of anything. It's going to be inauthentic for me to just sit and research and post, because my Substack was never meant to be that. It was literally a diary of me adulting with ADHD that people can relate to and people can engage with. It was never meant to be this formally, overly polished, written essay columnist that had lots of studies. And so why would I? So looking back, you can tell there's probably 2 or 3 where it was like very studied research. And I'm just like, that took so much brain power and caused me to burn out. And then I realized people are following me for me and because they're learning and they like it. We're all very different. Your voice is going to be different to the next person's voice.
I mean, it's different to a lot of people's voice, Rach, let's be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. People connect differently. And so there were times when I put one newsletter out and then in a couple of months I didn't have the spoon to let nothing was there and people still followed. And even like the past year, I got back into the rhythm of writing because I had so much to say and I wasn't creating out of comparison or feeling like I was being left behind. I was creating because from like a really good place. And so I think I've gained more subscribers this year than I ever had within the 6 years of writing on Substack. And that didn't come from producing a newsletter a week. I think I'm 2 a month is if that. And so again, it just goes back to walking in your purpose, and what will be for you will be for you, and the right people will find you. Just keep putting things out from a place of like being genuine and like wanting to help people and from your experience. And it will all work out in the end.
Absolutely. And do you know what? It's interesting what you say, because it is expectation, right? A pressure that we put on ourselves, and also this need for consistency. Actually, that is a neurotypical standard, right? That is us forcing our square pegs to fit in that round hole. So that is why I don't have a set day of the week. I don't have a set schedule. Is because there are going to be months where I am more have more spoons or have more to say or less. I understand that so many of us are consistently inconsistent. So to put the pressure of consistency on ourselves, is really just, internalized ableism.
Yeah, I've got a post called ADHD and the Burden of Consistency. And then I also have a post on struggling to meet neurotypical standards. So everything you said, like I've written about, and sometimes I do have to remind myself putting a square peg in a round hole, this is what I'm doing to myself. And I should work with my ADHD brain instead of working against it.
Oh, mic drop, Rach, mic drop. Right, talk to me about writing. Tell me about this book.
Ooh, where to start? Is this mic on? Oh my gosh. So throughout my career, I've always had a job that required lots of writing because I've worked in policy and strategy. So that has required lots of drafting. So I think I'm a good writer. Like I've written at like a really good level. And so when I started writing my newsletter, it's writing for fun. It's very informal. Like it's not overly grammatically correct. It's silly, it's jokes, and it's been great. And so throughout those years, I've had publishers reach out to me, hey, do you want to write a book? A book agent reach out to me saying, hey, do you have a book agent? And I think back then I wasn't ready because I was still learning myself, but then also I was holding down a very busy full-time job. And I do believe, and at that time it was hard because a lot of people were getting book deals, a lot of people were putting out books, and I was thinking, man, I've been writing on Substack for years, and should I have written a book? Am I going to miss the boat? What if they say what I want to say? And the truth is, we all have our own unique experiences and preferences. And then I sat with myself and I just knew I wanted to write a book, but I wanted to write an ebook version. One, because most of my audience is online and I want to self-publish. I don't want the pressure of an editor right now or a book publisher pushing me to meet extreme deadlines, and I don't know how inclusive they will be of the neurodivergent experience. And then I also want it to be a guide. So I decided, right, I'm just going to write a beginner's guide to adulting with ADHD. It's going to talk on topics on what ADHD is, coping strategies, friendships, emotions, hormones, ADHD tax, and the different things we can do to kind of make it easier for ourselves to basically navigate life with a late ADHD diagnosis. But also I love to have fun. So I've got activities in there. I've got like gamification elements like word searches, little wordles, illustrations that I've designed myself, and then silly stories of me like missing my flight right and then explaining why that was due to ADHD, not paying attention, reading the ticket time wrong, and just different things people can relate to, because when you get diagnosed with ADHD, it does not come with a manual. It doesn't come with okay, you're an adult with ADHD. This is an example of all of the things that show how ADHD in adulthood is like when you read the DSM, which I do think is helpful to kind of get a sense or an idea as to kind of what the threshold and what the assessment is like for ADHD. But it is outdated, and it should be developed in line with kind of like modern day studies and like perspective of ADHD. But a lot of the examples are very related to childhood, because of course, as you know, ADHD tends to be diagnosed in age 12, but many of us have been missed. And so I'm making it very relatable to adults, very funny, touching on how to maintain friendships, relationships, and just also bring to life how ADHD can impact all areas of our life, but also how ADHD we can thrive. It's not a death sentence, and the importance of working with your ADHD brain instead of working against it. And I'm hoping for it to be short. The thing is, writing a book, you want to make sure everything is cohesive. You want to make sure it flows. But I have so much to say. So if I'm writing a chapter, so I'm writing a chapter on like managing finances with ADHD. So I speak about ADHD taxes and some of the best practices that I do to basically improve, like be more financially responsible. Like don't get a credit card if you're not going to read the rate of return, the interest, the interest rate. Like,
sounds like great advice, Rach.
yeah, like compare little things that I got myself into huge debt about. But then there's a paragraph that is it's so long, and I'm like, this is so long, I'm bored, delete. Because if I'm bored of what I'm writing, I know the ADHD brain is going to be checked out. And so I want to make it informational, but very light touched, very relatable. And I want people to read it and say, wow, I never knew that. And wow, I don't feel so shitty about myself. I see myself in that. And wow, I can present this book to my friend or a family member who is neurotypical so that they can understand the ADHD experience. So it's trying to balance all of that out. So May, it has to be May. It has to be May.
It's gonna be May. What I will say, Rach, is not to call you out. You know, what we talked about. Comparison is a thief of joy, and perfectionism is the thief of what? I don't know, but like better done than perfect, right?
There is something.
I often will write something. I mean, Rach, I've been writing about 4 books for about 10 years. So one of these days I'll get there. One of these days, one of them I'll finish. But I often write in really long sentences, long paragraphs. And then I'll just sit there and be like, well, do you know what? Actually, that is how my brain works. So somebody will relate to it. Maybe not everybody, and maybe it isn't perfect, but maybe it's okay to just do you.
That is true. I needed to hear that.
Sorry to tell you off, but no, we say no to perfectionism, and I can't wait to read it. Cannot wait. So how will people find it?
So it will be on my Shopify store, adhdtraits.com, but it will also be on Amazon. So I'm going to figure out how to get it on Amazon. The funny thing is I wrote over 80%. I'll show you by hand because I couldn't get the words. I couldn't get the words out. So all of this is like written by hand, and then I had to like type it up. So no AI allegations, and then I had to type it up, and then I looked at my newsletter, and I was just like, wow, this topic I wrote about was so interesting. Let me just add it in here. So yeah, my Shopify and Amazon, it will be out. A beginner's guide to adulting with ADHD. It will be out soon.
Oh, I'm so happy for you, and maybe I'll pull my finger out and finish one at some point.
Oh, you have to. You have to now because I'm doing it.
Okay. Oh, what I am doing though, not to put you on the spot, is I'm doing a new event series, but the first one as a charity, which is in collaboration with the National Trust. So we've got one event this year. I haven't put the details out yet. So next year there'll be quite a few. So one that's near our neck of the woods, because I'm in London now too. Hopefully I can entice you to come along.
What? Since when?
Well, that's a good question, Rach. We actually moved here last May, but my mum passed away in January.
Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss.
So there's been a lot of grief. There's been a lot of grieving, but I finally feel like I've arrived now. So I'm out and about. So it'd be lovely to meet up sometime. And please come to speak at the show. It might be no, not less. No, it won't be, actually. It's going to be just as much chaos. It's fine.
No, that's fun. We love chaos. Yeah, we definitely need to meet up. So like after this podcast, I've recently been asked by Parliament to come on as an accessibility and inclusion champion as part of their ADHD core group, which I'm super excited about. So yeah, I'm going to be doing some work in the accessibility space and mainly focusing, I think my expertise will come from like the ADHD neurodiversity side. But I'm excited because I obviously used to work in central government. So it was a full circle moment. But yeah, I'm excited.
Massive congratulations, but also they're bloody lucky to have you. Bloody lucky to have you.
Thank you.
So I was going to say, tell me a glimmer, but you've just told me a massive joy. I don't even know if I need a micro joy.
That's it. I'm over there gonna take some pictures for the website because they're looking to make it accessible, Parliament more accessible for the public. So when it comes to that navigation, being able to use like the websites, getting around, so it's nice to be a part of that part one, and then there's going to be a lot of more work to come from there. So yeah, that's my glimmer.
That's wicked. I love it so much. I actually got to go to the House of Commons the other day, last month. It was ADHD 360. We're doing a APPG talk with various people giving their lived experience. I didn't speak, I just attended, but yeah, it was really, really surreal. I kept thinking somebody was going to frog march me out because I'm usually just outside in leopard print shouting about something, and now I'm actually inside, like, really surreal.
That's hilarious.
Tell me though, what is the most ADHD thing you've done this week?
I'm so forgetful. That's one thing my ADHD meds have not been able to fix. Okay, so the most ADHD thing, when you're on ADHD meds, I have to email my GP to get a repeat prescription. I always email it when it's too late, and so I'm left without meds for like a week. And that has happened to me several times this year.
Make it make sense. Really struggle with admin, struggle with dates, struggle with remembering to do things. I know, you have to order your prescription. Brilliant.
Yes, exactly that.
Oh, thank you so much, Rach. It's so lovely to have you back.
I just want to say, like, I'm so proud of you for continuing to kind of like do this podcast, even when like Dawn left, because it's a lot of energy, but then it shows your commitment to the community, like continuously showing up because so many people need it. But then also the in-person events, right? I think it's great that there are so many of us doing things online. So I mean, I've started out online and I've been able to like do Comic-Con every year and like go and talk to companies and like be visible in the community. But I love that you've been able to create and curate events for the community because it's not that easy, and it really shows your dedication and your commitment to promoting and increasing awareness about neurodiversity, but ensuring that we all have a space. And I think it's hard, and I'm sure it's expensive, but you continue to do that, and it's just amazing. So continue to show up. So many people need it, and yeah, be proud of yourself. You've achieved so much and done so much and helped so many people. Yeah, so that's amazing.
Shut up, Rach. I'm trying
to Yeah, I leave you with that nugget.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Enormous thanks to Rach, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you found this episode helpful, and I hope if we've managed to set up an ADHDAF Plus free support group in your area, you're able to come along in the coming days to carry on this conversation with like-minded locals. And if not, that you can continue it with people in your life and help others explore what burnout looks like for them to better support themselves and drop the shame around meltdowns, shutdowns, and resting in whatever way fills their cup. Whether self-care looks like me today or getting out and about, we all need to do what we can to fill our cups. And with that in mind, I have a couple of glimmers to end on, just like we do in our support groups. Firstly, getting to hang out with Lou and her lot yesterday. I cannot wait to be part of her bus crew this summer in many a festival field. Secondly, to have not only the legendary London facilitator Ruth and her girls and Big with me yesterday, but a very special appearance from an online community legend, Lilu, who came to celebrate this unbelievable milestone of 4 years in a handmade leopard print tasseled creation out of thrifted pieces, including a gemmed leopard head as like a clasp in the front, which read, "Hear us roar," on the back in sequins. She's so incredibly talented. It's literally incredible. Made my day. I also got to celebrate Heartbreakers Club's first birthday this week with several community legends. Thank you for the dancing. And finally, the touching words of Rach at the end of this episode, with similar sentiments echoed in the votes of our National Diversity Award nominations. I will never, ever be able to convey how much it means to know the impact of the work of all things ADHD AF and ADHD AF Plus charity. Though, of course, anyone nominated for one of these awards deserves to be shortlisted, I only hope that the judges feel the weight of those words and see how many people in need of support are getting that from us, and in such a short space of time, how far we've been able to extend that desperately needed help. Again, if you haven't yet voted, you can do so now via link in show notes, and all of us behind the scenes making it possible to run 13 free in-person ADHD peer support groups in May, and all of the people our charity will go on to support, would be so extremely grateful for your vote. So, sucking in through the eyeballs, here's to 4 years, 174 episodes, 2 million downloads, a number of online events so enormous I cannot even begin to count, 3 UK tours, and 89 free peer support groups to date. To the messy, imperfect, chaotic, loud, too muchness, to the sacrifices, the ridiculousness, the cackling and calamities. Thank you so much for everything over the last 4 years. Here's to you. Here's to us. We are the Leopard Print Army. Hear us roar.